Hi there, and welcome to this week's episode of the Automotive Talent Show podcast, the podcast where we get to know and gain insights from leaders within the automotive industry. My guest this week is a lifelong automotive person with a plethora of experience. They've worked in dealerships, owned dealerships, and have pretty much been exposed to all the machinations of the business. They've made the transition into the training space and are now giving back for others to benefit from that experience. His name is Ian Parker. Welcome to the podcast, Ian.
Yeah, thanks, Cameron, and thanks for having me on. It's great to be here and share some insights.
Absolutely. You and I don't live that far apart from each other these days. Although we're both based on the Gold Coast, but thanks to COVID and convenient recording, we're doing it via Zoom, which is a nice responsible thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's social distancing, but there could be worse places, or we could be locked up too. And the Gold Coast is a beautiful part of Australia.
Absolutely. So I suppose to give a bit of an insight into you, Ian, I know your background pretty well, and a lot of people out there would know your background. But for those that don't, give a bit of a high level overview of the Ian Parker story.
Yeah, well, I started in the auto industry in 1983 at a local Ford dealership in Orange as a trainee salesman. I worked my way through the dealership to used car manager, then to general sales manager, and then in 1989 I took a plunge out and opened up a small used car yard in Orange on the corner of Bathurst Road and Glenroy Avenue, and started off there with 8 cars in 1989, and in June 1989, in our first month, we sold 30 odd used cars. So that was the start of it all. A small 800 square metre block, so it wasn't that big, and we actually owned that block up until about 12 months ago, and we sold that part of that block to 7-Eleven. So, and then we worked our way through that. We gradually bought land around us and built the yard up, and by the early 90s or something, or mid 90s, we were carrying about 70 odd used cars. We were doing about 50 or 60 a month. And then in early 2000, I think it was 2000, we took on the Honda franchise. We decided to look at franchise, took on Honda. Then in 2004, we challenged ourselves even more. We took on Proton and Ssangyong as a couple of brands. And then in 2005, we took on Audi. But anyway, we were up there. We were doing between Proton and Ssangyong, we're doing about 15 or 20 of those a month.
Yep.
And it's a matter of, it's horses for courses. They sell what they sell. 2006, we built purpose-built premises out on the Bathurst Road in Orange, and moved everything out there. We sold that in 2009. We did some coaching consulting for a little bit for some dealers and things, Hunter Valley, Tamworth, Wollongong and all that. And we actually got called to a job in Griffith in 2010. And Griffith is a beautiful town in in rural New South Wales. It's great wine and great food. Anyway, long story short, we got down there. The dealership was in a lot worse position than they declared to us. I went into receivership, and we basically babysat it for the receivers and ended up buying it in 2010, in October 10, and we decided we'd do 3 to 5 years there. So we had Honda, Mitsu, Kia and Isuzu, and sold that in 2015. Sold the business and then sold the premises in 18.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history now. Yeah, now we moved into training.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? You're probably more well known now these days for your for your expertise in that training space. And as I said in the intro, I think a lot of people in our industry and world gather experience along their professional life, and I think you reach a point where you want to give back of that experience, because we are like, like we said before we hit the record button, we want to make the industry the best industry it can be, in a way.
100%. Yeah. And, there's so much you do learn along the way, and you do want to pass that knowledge back to people. And, you can buy a lot of things, but you can't buy a good experience that can hand back to people. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And have you found the training space?
Yeah, look, the training space has been great for us. We sort of white labeled a product there in about 2016 for about 12 months until we sort of got our handle on it all and how it all worked and got our feet under the table. And then 18 months or it'd be longer than that now, 2 years ago, we actually built our own platform. So I didn't build it because I'm not a tech head, but we had the right people build it. And it's a unique platform for training, because we can do it with private coaching, but we can also have it set up for dealers. That we know a lot of dealers, they want to do the training, and their biggest problem is getting the content, delivering the content, and then holding their people accountable. So we built a platform that has got a high level of accountability, where the DP can sign in and check that the sales manager is doing the training. The sales manager signs in and trains his salespeople. We've got train the trainer videos after every module, so the sales manager can watch that video and know exactly what he's got to do to get the most out of his salespeople. And by doing that, it's made it very cost effective for a dealership to train their people. Dealerships can train their people for like $3, $4, $5 a day per person.
Yeah. It's the thing about our industry, isn't it? Without a system in place, then it becomes like Chinese whispers in many ways. Like a new person walks into the building, they get briefed from an existing person on what their processes look like, who was briefed, who had the same thing done to him, and just like Chinese whispers, you do that often enough, the end result at the 10th person is completely different to what it was when the first person was trained. So without a system, it's the inmates can run the asylum in a way.
Yeah, 100%. And it's interesting that salespeople and that want to learn, and new people to the industry want to learn. And if we don't have something to train new salespeople with, like the days have gone that the salesperson starts, and you would remember, Cameron, back in the day, because your father had a dealership, but you imagine back in the day when we all started and it was, Cameron, there's the phone, there's your desk, good luck.
Yeah, it still does happen in some businesses, I would suggest.
And it does. Today it does happen. And we need to, stop that and give them something to train them with. And the ones that are getting training are making a hell of a difference. Yeah.
I think it also comes down to, I've kind of covered this off in previous podcasts as well, is, today the biggest challenge is keeping your people engaged with you. In business, you want stability, you want sustainability, you want to be able to predict where your business is going. And one of the key drivers is keeping things stable, like keeping your people stable, and not have that revolving door of people coming in and out of your business and diluting what you're trying to do, diluting the culture, changing the environment. And the reality is, every candidate that I speak to, I think when I ask them, who do they look up to, who do they respect, who do they say has been a person that has affected them professionally, most of the people cite the person that has actually trained them the most. Has shown interest in them. It's an engagement, and it's like I see you say in many of your videos, training's not one of those things that is something that you invest in for a week and say, all right, I've trained all my people now, let's move on.
We've ticked those boxes. It's okay now. The fact it wasn't effective and it won't
Yeah.
do anything, but we've
Yeah.
ticked the training box. And that's a difference. You're better off to have less training and have a lot more effective than give all this training out that's ineffective.
Yeah. 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 And that's the thing, isn't it, too? The training side of it tends to be at the lower levels.
Yeah.
We train, like look at a technician. We train technicians. They get a qualification. They've got their books that they work through, and they spend 4 years basically signing off on their qualification. But in the sales side of the business, we tend to train salespeople, but that's generally where it stops.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how does a sales manager learn how to be a sales manager?
That's right. Because as you know, that most dealerships is the sales manager's been a great salesperson. And what happens is they go to that sales manager and say, hey, Cameron, congratulations, Cameron, I'm going to make you the sales manager. And Cameron thinks, that's great. I'm pretty chuffed. I've been working to want to be a sales manager. So Cameron becomes a sales manager. Then he moves into his office and he thinks, well, what do I do now? I've never been a sales manager before. So then he's not going to ask people for help because people think, well, you should know, Cameron, you've just been made the sales manager. Why don't you know? And what happens is then the dealership has a chance that it can lose not only a great salesperson, but potentially a good sales manager because the person thinks this is all too hard. I'll go elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're very good at teaching that sales manager how to cost a deal, or how to how to run the admin and how to report and all of those sort of things. But we're not very good at actually teaching them and how to lead people and
exactly
and coaching a team and mentoring a team. And that's probably one of the biggest gaps, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And the big thing about, the today and when you're managing people and that, it's not about hey, Cameron, you're supposed to get this done. Why hasn't this happened? It's about, hey, Cameron, what can I do to help you get that result by Friday? It's about what can I do to help you? It's not you are meant to do this and bang, bang, bang. So, it's just the way you're taught on how to manage your people. And the sad part is in a lot of dealerships and a lot of businesses, because we coach all sorts of businesses, there's still some of that 1950s management tactics still being used.
Yeah. It's something that definitely needs to change. The industry technology wise is changing. It's changing at a fast pace. Look at it's the challenge for the people that are in the retail side definitely that are left is keeping up with all of that change, isn't it?
Yeah.
And COVID, we're talking, you and I are talking, it's late July 2020. It is COVID-19 where, every state of Australia is in various states. We've had to change the way we do business a lot in the last 5 months. A lot. We've probably had more change in the last 5 months than we've had probably in the last 5 years.
Yeah, 100%.
Maybe beyond that.
Yeah.
How do you, like a salesperson's the way a salesperson interacts with a customer these days has definitely evolved a lot in the last 5 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, look, it has, and it hasn't, if that makes sense. Like even with COVID and that, we've talked for a long time about using, video to reach out to your customer, because the internet's been out for a long time, and people have been buying cars online for a long time. So, in that part of the sales process, there's nothing new about a customer ringing up from, Melbourne to buy a car in Brisbane online, via car sales or whatever the case may be. So, and we've, all the people that we coach and things, we talk to them about, I'll get the video out of the phone and go around the car, show them all the nooks and crannies and declare the whole thing. So, that's been happening for a long time. The main thing now is, the social distancing with COVID-19. But as far as people are still coming into dealerships to look at cars, so, that part of it hasn't changed. And I don't think, I can't see that changing for a long time. I know in different parts of the world. They're buying them out of towers, and they're buying that. People will still buy online, but people will still come and touch and feel.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the way the technology is evolving, though, isn't it? Is that, you know, if you think back to the old school dealership, you know, your marketing spend, your marketing dollars was, you know, basically dedicated to print, print,
TV, radio.
Yeah. If you're in the metro, if you're in the metro, it was print because you couldn't afford TV or radio.
Yeah.
In the regional areas, you know, it's a couple of grand to run a TV slot. It's easy, isn't it? But you know, and that was where you spent your dollars to drive inquiry, and then, you know, your salesperson. And generally, you know, back in the day, people would walk off the street to inquire about that car that was, you know, advertised. Where these days it's such a digital experience for a customer that, you know, a customer would inquire on your website. The salesperson will get that lead, would grab that phone, pick up the phone, dial the number, get a voicemail, dial the number, get a voicemail, dial the number, get a voicemail, and then probably lose interest. Where there's other tools that we have available to help us, isn't it? And I know we've been doing video for ages, but I think the video experience has been limited to just demonstrating a car. It hasn't been used effectively to communicate that initial conversation with the customer.
Yeah.
To say, hey, Mr. Customer, it's Cameron from Cameron Motors here. I've got your inquiry. I tried to give you a call, but you must be busy. Just letting you know I'm here, and if you've got a preferred time for me to make contact or whatever the case may be, let me know. And the power of video doing that is powerful, you know.
Oh, 100%. And we talk about that, you know, in the program, about using video for follow-up. You're right, people use video to show them the car and send that to them, but they don't use it for follow-up. And it's such a powerful tool in follow-up. And, you know, the results that you get from the people that will come back to you, and you can be a bit cheeky and a bit fun, and you keep it natural and cool, but, you know, when you send the message out and, you know, hey Cameron, I've got the car ready for a test drive at 4:00 this afternoon. Thanks very much. You know, and you just do a video around the car, and you let Cameron know that it's there for a 4:00 demo. If you're following someone up and you want them to reply, you can be a bit cheeky and go, hey Cameron, look, give me a call back on 0418 635 120, or hey, be a bit cheeky and send me a video back.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
And do that. And the other thing with video is it's so powerful for because it creates time in your day. So, you know, when a customer orders a car, sometimes they take delivery within 24 hours because it's in stock or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might have to be ordered in 2 or 3 weeks. But that customer, when they've ordered that car, done the paperwork on that car, they feel within 2 days, they feel, is my 3 weeks up yet?
Yeah,
Where's my
absolutely.
car? Where's my car? And the last thing you want is a customer ringing you, hounding you about where their car is, because you start saying, well, I told you it was 3 weeks late. You know, it's going to be in 3 weeks, blah, blah. But if you can keep them informed along the way, you build a customer for life. So, you know, maybe, excuse me, when it's released from Bond, you could do a quick video screenshot of the screen to say, hey, Cameron, just want to let you know your car's been dispatched. It's on the truck. It should be here in 3 days. I'll keep you in touch in the loop of when delivery will be. When the car arrives on the truck, you might do a quick video. Hey, Cameron, just want to let you know your car's arrived on the truck. It'll go through PD detailing. The tow bar will be fitted, the bull bar will be fitted, and I'll be in touch for delivery. We're working on Friday.
Yeah.
As it's going through the delivery, as it's going, getting the tow bar on, just a quick, you know, hey, Cameron, just let you know the tow bar is being fitted to your vehicle. Yeah. Just all those different stages.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's, you know, my point is it's a video, utilizing video, I think, it's a communication piece. If you're if you're not utilizing video today, and you're a salesperson in a dealership, or even if you're a sales manager, even a DP in a dealership, if you're uncomfortable in front of a camera, you probably need to get comfortable in front of a camera. It is, because like anything in this world, if you don't take it on, you're probably going to get left behind.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just a powerful tool that, that everyone looks at it. And if you can utilize it to, when you get the wife's and the husband's mobile number and you send a video to both, it's a wow factor. And they remember it, and they talk about their friends, or, when you're watching a video and you go, oh, wow, this is my new car, I'm going for a test drive, or I'm picking it up today. And if you got their friends around, the friends are going, oh, what do you got there, Cameron? Oh, this is my new car. And then they start showing everyone. So they start telling everyone about what they're doing and showing people, and people are going, oh yeah, where's that at? And getting information and things. So
absolutely, yeah. I had a friend of mine. He had his vehicle serviced, and video is obviously video is infiltrated the service side in a great way. It's the way I think about video is, for me, the old adage, pictures say 1,000 words. Well, a video is moving pictures. So how many words is it saying, right? So I had a mate of mine, he had his car serviced, and I'll give him a shout out here, Redland Mazda. So the great guys in the service department at Redland Mazda there, Mazda have taken on the See It Now video for their customers. And the technician, you would normally go, oh, don't want to give a video opportunity to a technician, because, who knows what they're going to say. The friend of mine sent me the video and said, how good is this? Here's a technician. He was underneath my car. He was walking me through everything that they checked and everything that I needed to be aware of, and sent me the video.
Yeah, perfect.
And the first thing he said to me, first thing he did when he received the video, was send that video to me saying, how good is this? So your customers, that from that experience, that he was now a one-man marketing team for Redland Mazda. So it's
because it was a wow factor, Cameron.
Absolutely.
That the guy had never received from anyone else that he's ever dealt with. And because of that, he's praising it and telling everyone. And if business can think, like dealerships can think of everything they do and think, what can I do to plus one this to give a wow factor for the customer? Because it's all about the experience.
Absolutely. But the power of video and communication is key. It is absolutely key. As you say, there's customers tend to, they sign a deal, they spend a couple of hours in your dealership, they walk away excited and a little bit anxious and a little bit, we've bashed them up a little bit probably. And then, as you say, the time for them passes a hell of a lot quicker than it does for us. And that creating those touch points, that channel of communication back and forth, would speak volumes for anyone's experience, so that by the time that customer gets that survey, you can be quite comfortable in the fact that what the response is going to be.
100%. But the other thing it leads to is when they pick their vehicle up, think about the world's best video testimonial you can get off the customer that you can post on social media and have running around with these people telling everyone how great you are to deal with. Yeah.
It's the I don't want to use a cliche that everyone's using at the moment, but I think video needs to be the new normal in regards to how we interact.
Yeah. Because it's so powerful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And you see it, we used to see it back in the day, before video implemented, it was you ring that customer, you leave a voicemail, you get the voicemail, you play voicemail tennis, but all of a sudden you send them a text message. They responded very quickly when you sent them a text. Nowadays you can send a text message with a video in it.
Yeah.
And it's as you say, that wow factor by going, oh my God, look at what Ian's done. How good's this?
And imagine what you've got to think about too is the wow factor. If you've sent that to the husband and the wife, and let's say the wife's at the coffee shop, let's say, the picture, the scenario that at 4:00 this afternoon, the husband and wife are coming to take a vehicle for a test drive. So at 10:00 that morning, we recommend you send a quick video. Hey, Ian and Mel, just want to let you know that the ABC widget is sitting in the drive ready for your test drive. Looking forward to seeing it at 4:00 this afternoon.
Yeah.
You send that to the husband and wife, and the wife's sitting in the coffee shop, and you send around 10:00 and she looks at it. Because as soon as everyone's phone goes ping, we pick them up and look at it.
Of course,
right? It's human. So you look at that and you go, oh, and you watch it. Oh, what's going on, Mel? Oh, we're just going for a test drive of a new car this afternoon. Oh, what are you looking at buying? Oh, we're looking at buying a Mazda, CX-5. Oh, yeah, that's great. They're a nice car. What colour are you looking at? Oh, we want a black one. Oh, when do you think you'll be taking delivery of it? Oh, well, hopefully by Friday. And all of a sudden, they're selling themselves on the idea and everything about the whole thing.
Yeah, that's the thing is video is all about creating that relationship and connection, isn't it?
But you think about it, Cameron, if you tried to ring them at 10:00 and they're in a coffee, they're having at a coffee shop with friends, they won't take your call. But if you send them the video at 10:00, they'll look at the video.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10.
Yeah. There's a lot of actual video software providers. Like, it doesn't have to be as crude or rude as holding your iPhone up and getting the shaky selfie video or anything like that. There's actually a lot of video software providers, and they're really cheap, I can say, relatively speaking, that can, turn your video into a clickable link with analytics and all of that sort of polished stuff that, you can be notified as soon as that customer has viewed that video or whatever, you can be notified and in sales, those sort of metrics and notifications are key, aren't they? Because
100%. So you know exactly where they're going. But you're right. There's a lot of good platforms out there that are cost effective that you can use.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think yesterday it was kind of announced that Mercedes-Benz are going to transition to the agency model. Honda announced it obviously ages ago that they'll be transitioning to the agency model. It would stand to reason that other brands would follow.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting because they've got in New Zealand with Honda and Toyota at the moment.
And Toyota, yeah. So for me, the way I think about agency model is in the absence of price not becoming a key contributor to the negotiation, the only thing you've got as a business is your ability to build a relationship with the person that is doing business with you.
It's all about relationship selling, isn't it? Like it's, the old adage, and I know people, it's an old saying that's been around, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And some people say, oh, not really. People buy on price. People only buy on price if you let them. If you think about this, when was the last time you bought something from someone you didn't like? And not many people buy from people they don't like. They'll pay a couple of dollars more to buy from someone they like because they feel comfortable. They know that they're there for backup, and they know they're there whenever they need anything. So
there's that relationship factor.
100%. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, and I think the way we use this sort of technology, whether it's video, social, whatever it is, it's all about relationship and connection building. Yeah, it is. It's all about that, in my opinion. And I think the modern day salesperson, needs to be someone that is very comfortable to go through and do that, and be obviously disciplined in the way they approach it, and not just do what we have done in the past, and that's be all attentive until we get signed paperwork, and then only worry about them when the thing needs to be delivered. It's more. There's more to it than that these days.
It's from the moment they sign the paperwork to the moment they pick up their vehicle. That's the most important part if they want to make that customer for life. It's what you do in that time, whether it's 24 hours or 24 days. That's the most important.
Yeah. There's a certain authenticity to that part of the relationship, isn't it?
100%.
People could say, you want to know me you wanted to know me before I signed the documents, because it was all about signing the documents.
Yeah.
And you want to know me when I get my car delivered, because that's when you get paid.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, this is where you show me that you actually care about me.
Yeah, 100%. And we say to all our clients, whether it be auto or non-auto, is that if there's a lag between when they do the paperwork and when they take delivery of the goods or service, you do not want at any stage that customer ringing you. And I don't mean that rudely. I mean, you need to be in touch with the customer all the time, so they never have to ring you, that they know where everything's up to. Now, whether that be by, text, phone, or video, we highly recommend video.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's the best time to do it.
Yeah. A very good client of mine, who's a business owner, said to me many moons ago. He said, I've never performance managed someone for over communicating with a customer.
Yeah, 100%, exactly.
And I've never had a customer ringing me, or the phone has never come through to my office with someone saying, I want to tell you about your salesperson talking to me too much about, talking to me too much. It's always the opposite, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And, some of the brands out there that the lead time from the placing the order to delivery can be like 2 and 3 months. And, as I mentioned before, the customer, if it's 3 months, they think after 3 weeks, is that 3 months up yet?
Yes.
So you've got to keep them warm and fuzzy through that whole time, because that's when, as I mentioned before, that's when you get that best video testimonial.
Yeah. What about the differences, Ian, from your experience with, obviously there's all the forms of communication that we have. So, you can obviously have your written word, you can have your video, that can be disseminated through, you could post a letter, I suppose. Not many people post letters to customers.
That's powerful though, Cameron. It is coming back. The old handwritten letter is a very powerful way of communicating with your clients as well.
More of a think post experience, isn't it? That thank you handwritten, absolutely. But I'm talking in the initial stage, your inquiry and contact, we obviously email, we obviously use voice, phone, we use video, we text. Do you think within each stage is it best to go text at the outset? Is it best to go phone? Is there any particular formula that you've sort of believe in, Ian, on that front?
Well, look, they're all great, but what we also coach our clients to do is ask the question. So when we're dealing with Cameron, what is the best form of communication you prefer?
Yes.
So if Cameron says text, the chances are if you send a text to Cameron, he's going to respond to it.
Yeah.
Cameron, is there any particular time of the day that's not a good time to call, text, email, or video you? I don't do it between 9 and 5. Okay, no problems in the world. So you don't do it between those times. But if you ask those questions, then you know what the best form of communication is, when's the best time to communicate and everything. And that saves a lot of pain, because as you mentioned before, you make 2 or 3 phone calls and the salesman thinks, they're not interested, this is too hard, and they move on. And it's not that they're not interested, it's that you didn't find out when was the best time to contact them and what was their best method.
Yeah.
And you don't know what's going on in their life. Yeah,
absolutely. It's like anything in the process, though, isn't it? It's about asking the right questions and then listening to the answers, And
it's 100%. And the thing we say with that is listen to understand, not to respond.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's a valid. It's it's what I was thinking. You think back to the day. The standard approach of, even if it's applying for a job, the standard approach was to look at the Wednesday or the Saturday paper and, throw a resume together, put it in an envelope or fax it to somebody. But these days I get approached for jobs on email, through our website, over the phone, through social channels. Yeah, you have to, I think it's a great way of thinking about it, isn't it? You need to interact with your customers how they want you to interact with them, not how you want to interact with them.
Yeah, because it's at the end of the day, it's about them. It's not about you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the thing is that, and the other thing you talk about follow up, it's really important to follow up because, I've got some statistics that we've got, on our websites and things that 48% of salespeople never follow up.
Yeah.
25% of salespeople make the second contact and stop.
Yeah.
And 12% of salespeople only make 3 contacts and stop, and only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. Like, it's crazy. And I was listening to a podcast, podcast webinar, whatever you want to call it, a few weeks ago that car sales ran, and they mentioned that in a week by week that they ran, 31.7% of people that inquired at dealerships about vehicles in 24-hour period never got followed up. It was 24 hours after they inquired before they got the follow-up. So, that's just crazy.
A third of it, mate. A third of inquiries.
Yeah. And, they've got to, salespeople got to understand that you've just got to follow up. You've got, the amazing part that I find is that businesses say, oh, we need more clients so we can sell more cars. But when you find out that they're not following up, or they're only selling one in 4 or something, you think if you're selling 3 out of 10, 3 cars to 10 people that come in, you've got to ask yourself, what are those other 7 saying about your business that walk out the door? Now, I'm not saying you're going to sell 10 out of 10.
No.
But you've got to.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Prior to COVID, one of the lessons we've learned out of COVID is that, the things that we thought about our business prior to COVID, not necessarily the things that we know about our businesses now. And a lot of that, you look at the June result, like everyone is patting each other on the back saying, June was awesome. How good are we? Stock's clean, profit's great, gross is good. And a lot of the result was actually off less staff.
Yeah. Yep.
I had a client that had 30% less sales staff, yet he got exact same result as last year with better gross.
Yeah.
And I think whenever I visit a dealership, you take a look around and you look around the sales guys, and I don't want to bash sales guys, but
No.
You look around sales guys, and how many sales guys do you see that are sitting there talking amongst themselves, or standing around the water cooler, so to speak, or that sort of stuff. The unapplied time for a salesperson, like the more programmed and systematic a salesperson can be, the more efficient they are. We measure efficiencies on the after sales side.
Yep.
Do we measure efficiencies on the sales side as hard? We only really measure the result at the end, don't we? We don't measure the behaviours to that result.
Yeah, exactly. And if you look at the downtime or the lost time, how could that be used more effectively?
Yeah, creating videos, communicating with customers. That's exactly how you could do it. That's exactly what you could do.
Yeah. And role playing and practicing and training and things like that they could be doing, rather than, as you say, standing around the water cooler and things.
Yeah. From what you've seen, obviously social media, everyone's on social media these days. And there's a bit of a gap in the middle, isn't there, with social media and how people in the sales side, what sort of content are they putting on social? Is it their content? Is it the business's content? Is the business okay with someone posting on social? it's a bit of a grey, murky area, isn't it,
Yeah.
these days?
A lot of the businesses don't allow salespeople to post business stuff on their personal page for a number of reasons. And what salespeople have got to realise when they post on social media on their personal page, it's like a tattoo. It is there forever. So if you post something that's partly inappropriate or not that great, it's done. So, and I think some businesses don't want to be aligned to something that may be that they don't really want on there. So you just got to be conscious of what you post on social media. And I know it's, you can have a Friday night banter and a wild night at the pub and you want to show all those things, but it's just what you post and what you photograph and what you end up putting up there. You got to think about it's there forever, and what will they do to my reputation as a salesperson? So, and that's just what you've got to be careful about when you post. But posting on the like on the dealerships page and posting the content on there and then sharing it, from your page out. I don't think dealerships have a problem with that. But yeah, you just got to be really conscious about what you post. But it's such a great way to get yourself out there. And I know there's some dealerships here on the coast at one stage were doing some quite funny videos with a couple of salespeople and things. And it was a bit of banter and it was a bit of fun. And I think they were getting pretty good views out of it. So that sort of thing works. And it can be used that people go, oh yeah, wow, that's funny. And I mean, some of the videos that for car dealerships from around the world that go viral are just ones you think, oh, who thought of that? That just cracks you up,
Yeah.
But it gets it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. You see a lot of the guys from the States. We all look to the United States as being that where the next great idea is coming from. You see a lot of the whether they're dealer principals, sales managers, salespeople themselves, very, very, very active in the space. And look, for me, I think, I think as far as social is concerned, I think you've got to, whatever you're doing, you've got to create your identity.
Yeah.
And your work identity is separate to your personal life identity. So I think my view is if I was going to do it, if I was going to wind back the clock and do that, I would create a separate identity for my interactions. Obviously, make sure my employer was right with it because, ultimately you're doing it on their time and they're paying you to do so. Yeah. And even if you gave them, showed them to sign it off before you posted anything. But for me, I think the way you can market yourself, the dealership, on social these days, I think is one of the keys to building that relationship and connection to the customer base and client base.
Yeah, 100%. It's a great way to build trust and rapport.
Absolutely. And look, I would even go as far as to say is if you did it well enough, I would be reinvesting in myself on that. I would be actually paying for my posts to be prioritized and marketed to my area. I don't think there's many people in this market that are doing that now as far as sales is concerned.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. And, if you can shoot good videos and if you've got a good, clean, you should say whether you have two profiles set up or whether you've just got a good, clean profile with one and providing your dealership is happy with it. But yeah, that's right. It doesn't cost much to boost an ad, and you could be doing an ad on, any particular motor vehicle, whether it's a new model or it's a demo that you want to sell or it's an old stock that you want to move or whatever. But to boost those on Facebook, as and you target your audience that you want to reach and everything, and you only want to do in your area, it's not a huge expense.
No. I had a chat with a he was a GSM in America recently. He was a GSM of a Mazda dealership over there, and he'd been in the one business for 10 years and reached a point where he said, I need a break, and resigned. He had a couple of months off, and he ended up going back and working in another business, but not as a GSM. He didn't want to manage people anymore. He just wanted to sell cars and do the things that he loved. And he went down that social media approach, and he was investing $500 of his own money.
Yep.
And was selling on average 37 cars a month.
Yeah, wow. Yep.
So
that's a good return on investment.
Not a bad return on investment, is it? Yeah. It's the I think it's if you're waiting for the lead to come through, your fate's in someone else's hands. If you
100%.
generate the lead yourself, then
and there's so many ways you can do that, Cameron. Like not just with social, but there's so many other ways in the dealership you can utilise that.
Yes.
It just doesn't have to be social. But as you said with that guy, that 537 cars, like he just thinks outside the box, and just advertising in your area and things. It's just it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Coming back to the training side, Ian, like you and I we've tongue in cheek joked about this piece for a while now. Is that training is one of those things that people invest in generally when times are good.
Yeah.
And it's usually the first thing that disappears when the challenges really start. It's like the old cliche of, I'll give you an umbrella when it's sunny, but as soon as it starts to rain, I want my umbrella back.
Yeah.
How have you seen, I suppose, with this current challenge, training, I think everyone knows that training should be something that we should be investing in. I think anyone with a good experience knows that for sure.
Yeah.
How has that worked in your business, like with everything going on at the moment?
Well, it's interesting. I'll just go back to the last AADA I went to last year. When they brought up the top 10 expenses that a dealership has, training doesn't rate in the top 10. The top 10 expenses a dealership has, training doesn't rate, but employees are up there in the top 3. So that just makes no sense. You've got, one of the top 3 expenses of your dealership is your employees, and training doesn't rate in the top 10. And I've been around long enough to know that when things get tough, the first 2 things we cut is advertising and training.
Yes.
And we had a lot of businesses in April, or not a lot, about actually only a third of our businesses deferred in April and have now come back on in July. So, but we've actually found businesses are now looking at their good people, because a lot of people culled some of their staff and moved out,
restructure,
deadwood, restructure and everything. And they're now looking at, we should reinvest in these people, because there's an old saying that's been around for a long time, Cameron, that one person says, why should we? I don't want to waste money investing in these people. Well, if you don't invest in them, and I don't want to waste money investing in these people and they leave me. Well, if you don't invest in them and they stay, what does that do for your business? So, we've found that in the last 6 or 8 weeks, like the inquiry rate has really picked up, and the take up of training has been good.
Yeah,
and they're getting results. So we had some businesses, non-auto, that used our kept on training, and they'd signed up in late February. Anyway, when COVID hit, they said to me, Ian, like, what do you think we should do? Should we defer or whatever? I said, well, you can lay down the fetal position on the lounge and wait and see whenever this is going to finish, or you get your head down, bum up, and we do this training and we go out and smash it. Anyway, they decided to take the latter, and they were sending me testimonials of And we were doing quotes for people, and they said no one else was quoting, and we were getting the jobs at full tilt and making good money because everyone else was laying in the fetal position on the lounge of when's this going to work. So,
Yeah.
it's about being proactive and spending some money on your people because they will respect that.
Yeah, absolutely. It comes back to what we were talking about before, isn't it? With you keeping your people engaged with you as a leader, engaged with the organisation. Training plays a major part in that.
Absolutely.
If someone feels that they're not learning from you, they will move on to someone else that they feel they can learn something new from.
A manager is always a reflection of its team, and the team is always a reflection of its manager.
Yeah.
So if you've got a great manager, chances are you've got a great team and they invest in that. If you've got if you've got the manager that says my team's useless, well, there's only one reason the team's useless.
Yeah.
That's you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because you accepted that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same thing could be said for when a new employee comes into a team and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months after the fact, someone says, "Oh, we have to get rid of him. He's no good." Well, was he no good when you interviewed him, or did you make him no good?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you go on with that, Cameron. You've been around with dealing with putting staff into businesses and dealerships and that. But how often do you have a dealership that'll say to you, "Oh, this guy's been with me for 6 years and he was so good up until 3 months ago and he's just gone off the boil. So we need to get rid of him and replace him." But you've got to think, if he was so good for 6 years, what has happened in that last 3 months? And what have we got to do to get that back, get that last 6 years back out of him again and get him going again?
Yeah. The people are the biggest variable in our world. Yeah. Whether they're the people that make inquiries or whether they're the people that turn up and put our name badges on every day. Yeah. Either way, they're the variable that we have to manage.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And it's about, and look, the perfect employee is probably ourselves when we, as all business.
Absolutely. I'm the best.
We're the best at what we do, right? Yeah. But, my philosophy is that just work with the employees, work with their strengths and manage their weaknesses. And providing that their weaknesses are that much and their strengths are that much, you've got a great employee and you can make them work for you. No one's perfect.
Yeah, except for us two, of course.
Yeah, except for us two, of course. But yeah, other than that, they're not. So
yeah. What's the old adage? I thought I made a mistake once, but as it turned out, I was wrong.
Yeah, you probably can't remember when that was.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think the one thing that I know you do pretty well, and I'll give you a bit of a plug here, because I see them every time you send something through. Like you're like a one man vigilante group trying to make the world a better place through giving of your content. I know this is what you do professionally, but I would say you give a lot of information to people. Like you challenge the people in your network on a very regular basis by giving of your ideas and stuff. What sort of response have you had to the stuff that you put out there into the ether?
Yeah, we have a great response, and actually we posted a response today on social media on LinkedIn and Facebook about a business national manager of a business that gets our weekly sales tips and subscribe to it. And they're only 1 minute videos, so they're not, you don't have to sit there for hours and listen to them. And what he took out of that 1 minute, he shared with his network, and one of his network people were blown away by that 1 minute. But I'm a believer you've got to give, okay? Like if you don't know me and you don't know what my content's like and things, then I'm not going to get you to come and be one of my clients. So I'm happy to share and give plenty out, but I've still got plenty more to give after that. And it's a bit like the old calamari outside the fish shop. If you don't give a sample, they won't come in and buy the fish. Yeah. And, Cameron, we spoke about this, and about this. In January, we put a 5-part mini sales power course together, 5 8-minute videos to drop in your inbox every day. When we put that together, we were going to sell that as a lead up into our main sales program.
Yeah.
But then when COVID hit, we thought, you know what, we're going to give this away. So 5 8-minute videos on building relationships, prospecting, follow-up, objections, negotiating and closing the business. Anyway, we had MTA New Zealand approaches who we do work for, and they said, have you got something that we can help our dealers with when they're in lockdown that we could, give to our dealers, or something, we can buy? Anyway, I said, I've got this link, you can have it, send it out to your dealers. They signed up over 170 people in New Zealand, and the feedback we got from it was fantastic. Like, there's gold nuggets in there. There's not a truckload of them.
Yeah.
But there is. But you've got to do that. And you've got to give some of your stuff away and let people sample what you teach. And I guess the biggest thing about our sales training that is this, is that I'm not out there to reinvent the wheel. There's a lot of sales trainers out there that have come up and they think, oh, we've got this shiny new way, widget to do things and this and that. Sales hasn't changed in 40 years that I've been involved in the sales, except for the internet.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, so we're not about realigning. We're not about reinventing the wheel. We're just about realigning the wheel. So the people that have just gone off track a little bit, we just bring them back on track.
Yeah. But that's for me, that's what sales training does. Sales training doesn't, it obviously provides a system where you can say, my process is this. This is the definition of what my process is. But without training, without role playing, without continually going back to it, you wander off the pathway of your system and your process. And a trainer doesn't necessarily, for me, come in and say, as you say, this is the world's leading thingo.
Yeah.
They remind you the things that you used to know and that you used to do.
Yeah.
And the importance of the reasons why that. Yeah. And the importance of why that's the case.
Yeah. Yeah. And, back in the day, you think of one of the analogies we use is when you were a child, you used to get read nursery rhyme storybooks and things, right? And you'd know them and you remember them and you could recite the Humpty Dumptys and the little, all those sort of things, Bar, Black Sheep and all that, right?
Yeah.
When you get about 8 or 9, you think, I don't need that anymore because I'm not a child anymore. I don't need it. When you get to mid to late 20s and you have kids of your own, you start reciting those things because that was drummed into you for the first 8 years of your life.
Yeah.
But you haven't used them. And then all of a sudden, when you need them, you remember them again. And sales training is the same. Once you learn it, and it's repetitious of learning over and over again, it just becomes natural for you.
Yeah, but it's like that sporting analogy as well, isn't it? You just because a football team makes the grand final doesn't mean that they don't train in grand final week.
100%. And Cameron, you go to the next step on that is. Salespeople turn up for work, get to work at 7:30, 8 o'clock or whatever every morning. They go around, sit around the coffee machine, the water cooler or whatever. But a football player, when he turns up to play on Friday night, he doesn't walk straight in the sheds and sits down and gets changed and sits there and says, oh, it's nearly 8 o'clock, I'll go out and play. They go out and do 20, 30 minutes of warm-up before they go out and take the field.
Yeah.
Salespeople should do 15 or 20 or 25 minutes every morning before they go out and take the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the way you start the day is the way you end the day, generally, isn't it?
100%. And if you've had and there's nothing better if you're woke up and you're having a bad morning and you listen to a 15-20 minute podcast or something on some positivity, all of a sudden the negativity's gone. The world's not that bad. Things are great, and life goes on.
Yeah, and obviously, as we say, you've got some good stuff out there. And how do people find you, mate? You've obviously got a website. What's the details there?
Okay, so the website is pretty simple. It's www.ianparker.com.au, and it's got everything in there. And if you go to that website, there up in the top left-hand corner, is a little bar that says free stuff. And if you go on there, there is so much free stuff to download. Knock yourself out with all that. You can find me on LinkedIn, Ian Parker Sales on LinkedIn, Ian Parker on Facebook, and Ian Parker Management Group on Facebook. So we're all those sort of places. Contact me, and happy to help out.
Just like our customers before, where you're available to be contacted on any channel that you want to be that people want to contact you on.
Yeah, 100% on all the media channels we're out there.
Very good, mate. Well, I really appreciate your time today. I know we've got a lot of. I think we've covered a lot, but I think we've given a lot as well, and I'm sure people have really gained some great insights. And get in contact with Ian if you want to know anything more about what he does and how to implement his training programs. I've seen the platforms that Ian's got. I'm not just saying this because he's a friend of mine. I think it is, when it comes to sales training, what Ian provides and the way he provides it, I think is a flexible and innovative approach. And I think you and Mel have done a great job on that, mate.
Yeah, thanks, mate. And look, if anyone's listening and they want access to that free sales power course, if they can jump onto the website and grab it, or they just shoot me an email at ian@ianparker.com.au. I'll flick them the link, and they can go their hardest. And they own that power course forever. It's not a limited time. Once you sign up for it, you own those videos. You can keep using them for training forever.
Beautiful. I'll put your contact details in the show notes. That's probably a great way of doing it.
Yeah, okay. No worries, mate. I appreciate that.
Beautiful. Thanks, Ian.
Thanks, Cameron. We'll catch up soon. We'll catch up for a coffee with social distancing.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I've got a good cafe in mind. It's not too bad, not too far away from your house.
I'll wait till I hear from you.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Take care.
You too.
Bye.